All right, it's a Friday, but today let's start with business. So we talk about the housing levy defaulters facing accounts and PIN freezes. Informal sector traders targeted in KRA crackdown. Housing board concerned about low contributions. These are the small organizations that are already making deductions from their employees on their pay slips towards the housing levy, but they're not remitting the same to KRA. So Anambua will freeze your accounts and will also freeze your PIN. And that way your business will not continue. The Business Daily are still having space on the front page to pay tribute to His Highness the Aga Khan, who passed on early this week on Tuesday. Aga Khan funeral set for Saturday is a headline on the front page of this paper. Bus bodybuilder Lab Singh falls as 1 billion shilling KCB loan bites. Kuna basi mingi unakwanga umeona hapo imeandikwa Lab Singh. Lab Singh. It's not a brand. It's it's not a motor vehicle brand, but a bodybuilding company, Lab Singh. But they're saying it's falling because of a 1 billion shilling KCB loan default. Elsewhere on the ticker, banks post 262 billion shilling pre-tax profit on expensive loans that banks are cashing in. Yesterday we saw that headline where the CBK was saying now they'll start fining banks because despite the CBK lowering its base lending rate, the local banks have refused totally to do that. So, but you can actually see the results. They're raking in serious profits. 262 billion shillings pre-tax profit in this kind of economy. Wow.
They're eating big.
I tell you. Elsewhere, Safaricom Ethiopia M-Pesa customers tripled to 10.8 million shillings, where the number of M-Pesa customers in Safaricom's Ethiopia subsidiary more than tripled from 3.1 million to 10.8 million in the 12 months to December 2024. Hey, if you had a business that works like this one, where your customer base can triple within 12 months. Hey.
Na sio Kenya peke yake.
So banks and Safaricom wanakula mzuri.
Yeah.
Elsewhere, speculators drive up stocks of small firms. The number of small cap stocks at the Nairobi Securities Exchange, NSE, with outsized price gains has gone up this year as speculative trolling takes hold in the market. Speculative trading, rather, takes hold in the markets. So that's as far as business is concerned. Usually on Friday, watu washughuliki na biashara sana. No wonder they didn't even give us a physical copy of this paper. Lakini sawa tu.
Mwananchi ulimwengu washangaa.
Taifa leo.
Okay, Taifa leo. What did I say?
Ushaenda Tanzania, Mwananchi.
Rais Trump wa Amerika aonekana kupindua katiba ya nchi akijilimbikizia mamlaka. Kule chini tunaona mageuzi tangu apishwe na kutoa madaraka. Mnamo Januari 20, Rais wa Amerika Donald Trump ametetemesha ulimwengu, sera zake zikisababisha kilio na kuvutia ghadhabu za nchi kadhaa. Habari hiyo katika ukurasa wa 2, na hapa kando tunaona hatua kandamizi za Trump. Moja, Amerika kufurusha raia wa Gaza na kujenga eneo la burudani la kisasa. Rais Trump ameondoa Amerika kutoka shirika la afya duniani WHO. Trump amefutilia mbali ufadhili kwa shirika la kutoa misaada ya kibinadamu, that is USAID. Wengi wamepoteza kazi kutokana na hili, sana sana Kenya. Amesitisha mchango wa kikosi cha kudumisha amani Haiti. Atangaza mpango wa USA kujiondoa kwenye UNHCR. Amewarejesha wahamiaji makwao hasa Mexico, Colombia kwa njia ya kudhalilisha. Ametoza ushuru wa juu bidhaa zinazoingizwa Amerika kutoka nchi wa shirika za Canada na Mexico. Kutishia Afrika Kusini kuwa ataondoa ufadhili kutokana na sera za kibaguzi za ardhi. Vilevile alisitisha ruzuku kwa raia wa Amerika wasiofanya kazi wastaafu. Na Trump ametishia kunyakua Canada, Greenland na Guba la Mexico. Mambo hapo.
He's only been in power for how long? It's been about 17 days. 17 days.
Kule kando, korti yazima kanja kuhusu maandamano. Jaji asema hatua ya Inspector Generali ni kikwazo kwa haki msingi za binadamu.
Ati alisema he has outlawed demonstrations. Mbazi.
Yeah.
It is not up to you. Hiyo unajitwika mamlaka ambayo hauna.
Yeah. Wataalamu wakosoa amri ya rais, wametaja tangazo la Rais Ruto kuwa la kisiasa linalolenga uchaguzi mkuu. Hiyo ni agizo ipi ama ni ile ya IDs
ya vitambulisho?
Huko ni Garissa, eneo la North Eastern, ambapo amekuwa huko wiki hii for the past 3 days. M23 yatua mji mwingine DR Congo. Waasi hao watua mji mwingine unaofahamika kuwa na utajiri wa madini, the DRC war.
Kumbuka walisema waasi wa M23 wanatembea polepole hadi Kinshasa. Safari tu ni kwanza imeanza.
But they had called for a ceasefire. Tunaona bado wamesema hatuachi. Kule juu, UDA kupata ushauri kwa Museveni. Chama chapeleka maafisa wakuu 19 Kampala kushauriana na NRM ya Museveni.
Masuala ya spoti
watatucheka ama hiyo tuache.
Ni sawa tu. Arsenal FC sasa yaaga Carabao Cup. Kocha akiri masogora wake walikosa meno ya kung'ata Newcastle, lakini unajua anasema Carabao ni kama ni kikombe cha plastiki. Wengine wanasema sio, mimi nimesema.
Ni kweli.
Ungepata lakini sawa.
Taifa Leo hiyo.
All right, on the Star, the big headline there, Shabaab demand 7 million shilling ransom for kidnapped chiefs. And you would imagine that if this piece of news is there today, it should have been on the front pages of the papers that we see. This is the only paper I see with this story. Elders from Mandera and Nairobi have held meetings to initiate fundraising for the 5 abducted on Monday. President William Ruto has just finished his tour of that area. For him, this is loose change. He can actually pay the ransom. But hey, do we have a policy of negotiating with terrorists? That's the issue. Uhuru blames expulsion of troops for DRC crisis. That's on what's happening in the DR Congo. And remember that President Uhuru Kenyatta is the one leading the Nairobi process towards resolving that crisis. He spoke yesterday, he issued a statement yesterday, ahead of that meeting happening tomorrow in Dar es Salaam, the joint summit between EAC and SADC. But Uhuru Kenyatta anasema yeye anaelewa shida iko wapi. Political goodwill hakuna. Ile jeshi ya EAC ilikuwa imewekwa huko akaambiwa tukeni. Hapo ndio shida iko. Other quick highlights on the front page of the Star. Major twist as Uhuru's party, that's the Jubilee Party, backs Matiang'i. The country's political landscape is headed for a major twist after Jubilee Party endorsed former Interior CS Fred Matiang'i, its 2027 presidential flag bearer. Elsewhere, audit red flags. 6 billion shillings spend on Adani type deals. Lakini wameka kadogo hapa, stories on page 6. Some 6 billion shillings that the government borrowed to manage public-private partnership projects better may have gone down the drain. A new audit has cast doubt on whether taxpayers got value for money in the billions spent to facilitate Adani type deals that never materialized. Remember, we still don't have that deal. We cancelled it, but we spent money on it. Being a Friday, this Star comes with a siasa pullout. Some of the stories inside: Raila AU win or loss will impact Kenyan politics. That's definitely a truth. And Rigathi versus Kindiki and the fresh battle for Mount Kenya. That is in the siasa pullout on the inside pages of the Star. Independent, fresh and different. That's a Star this Friday.
People Daily, kule juu, DP Kindiki, the Ruto whisperer. And they say, I think this is a special coverage for this newspaper, but fighting perceptions around lack of association with truth. President deploys his DP to explain government and reclaim confidence.
I love that headline. Fighting perceptions around lack of association with truth.
Hapa chini wanasema Kindiki has positioned himself as the face of a new, friendlier and pro-people government. The DP has so far met 250 MPs and about 40 senators in over 50 current meetings. In the meetings, leaders are always well briefed by Kindiki to outline government policy. And in January, President Ruto admitted that key development programs had stalled due to economic challenges, but promised this year was going to witness their implementation. And Kindiki marks 100 years since being sworn in as deputy president. Tomorrow.
100 days.
100 days.
Yeah.
Ni weekend.
Ni weekend imefika.
All right. Hapa juu tunaona Uhuru's solution for DRC crisis. Hiyo kusema 100 years imenitoa out of character kidogo. But let's get that. And Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday, of course, he issued a statement through his spokesperson, and that is Kanzidena. Anasema anajua shida ni nini na anaweza kutatua, ila the political landscape is quite unstable. All right, kumbuka there is a meeting in Tanzania starting today na kesho. Yeah.
A joint SADC and EAC meeting. Barchok seized over 1.4 billion shilling corruption claim. This is a Bomet governor who was arrested yesterday by DCI officers. He was questioned and later released, but that action was in connection with this alleged loss of 1.4 billion shillings from the county's coffers. It's an interesting story there.
Right.
On the People Daily.
This one, education strike. Teachers now demand release of insurance cash. And we did a highlight of this yesterday, Fred. Kukuwe na a little bit of hope for these teachers. But the Ministry of Education faces more financial pressure, with the teachers demanding National Treasury releases the 11 billion shillings for a medical insurance scheme. The demand from the KUPPET adds to the growing list of claims that the Treasury has not satisfied. The union also complained that the Treasury had failed to remit at least 50% of capitation for free-day secondary education.
All right.
Right, and that is the People Daily.
Let's move on to the Daily Nation. We do have a physical copy here. Secret keepers of Ruto, Kenyatta and Moi empires. And this paper decides to go in a totally different tangent. They say revealed, they are reclusive and their job descriptions require them to remain discreet in both their professional and personal lives, lest they attract unwarranted attention to their employers' affairs. And yet they hold the keys to investments, vehicles with assets and cash worth billions for some of East Africa's wealthiest and most politically influential families, along with business as well as domestic secret that keep the multi-billion shilling empires raving. Meet the trusted confidence of Kenya's foremost political families. The story is on page 10. On the front page, they put pictures of representatives of Kenya's top families. There's Uhuru Kenyatta there, of course, from the famous Kenyatta family, Gideon Moi from the Moi family, Raila Odinga from the Odinga family, and now President William Ruto, who is joining the list of dynasties officially. You remember that story about the data that had been leaked?
Yeah.
So anasema, this story is not about these people. It's about the people under them, the people who work for them, to maintain and protect the property. The story is on page 10. Utajiangalilia hiyo story. Anasema, not many, even in their fields of expertise, can pick them out from a crowd. Unaweza kutana naye na utajua ni nani. But the Daily Nation on page 10, tufungue tu tuangalie ni watu kama nani hivi.
You see, Kenyatta's John Stuart, Armitage. Jacob Ogechi Ombongi, Jacqueline Mumbi Hinga, au ni Kenyatta's.
For Mois is Joshua Yator Keretz, Mukesh Jamnadas Kohil, Zambuni Shaun Alun, Millicent Chepkirui Ngetich. You've never heard of these people. For the Odingas, Israel Otieno Wasonga Agina, Gladys Jeruto Biama, Solomon Okea Awino, and John Tolo Otega. For Ruto, Tela Alusala, Lina Kantaria, Charles Victor Orodi. You've never heard of these people. Yeah, they're the guys who actually hold the secrets of Ruto, Uhuru, Moi, and Raila empires. That's a special story on the front page of the Daily Nation. Makes for a good read on a Friday. This paper also gives some prominence to the story of transition, the passing on of His Highness the Aga Khan, whose funeral service will be held tomorrow. 16 billion shilling looted through ghost workers in counties. This is through an audit, and that story is on page 14. And the court outlaws police of chief's ban on protests. So Gen Z mnakubaliwa kuprotest, koti imesema. Wachaneni na IG. Lakini je, muna nguvu. On the back page of the Daily Nation, senators reject proposed revenue sharing formula. That's the Daily Nation this Friday.
The Standard, you can teach me. And that is President William Ruto quoted there. Learned opinion, being a scientist with a PhD to boot, President William Ruto has told of critics of the livestock vaccine program that on the matter he knows more than they do, so they should shut up.
Ambao hawajasoma.
Mtasoma.
Yeah.
Mimi niko hadi na PhD. Taniambia nini? That is what he said yesterday. All right. And you know the Standard pia wame highlight up a man of letters. Doctor of Philosophy in Plant Ecology, University of Nairobi. Master of Science in Plant Ecology, University of Nairobi in 2011. And Bachelor of Science in Botany and Zoology, University of Nairobi. And you know, the now CS of Agriculture, CS Magoha, when he was being grilled, he said, see, must, you don't have to vaccinate your livestock if you don't want. Hapa
CS
president,
Kagwe.
yeah. Hapa president anasema, msitufunze kazi.
Yeah. Tutakuja tudunge hiyo ng'ombe yenu sindano, usipende.
Yes, we have to keep the market strong. Huku chini tunaona lack of political will to blame for DRC war, says Uhuru. And on Goma crisis, retired president says resolving the Eastern DRC crisis hinges on coordinated efforts between Congo and Rwanda, adding that Nairobi and Rwanda peace processes offer the best path to stability. That story is on page 9 of the Standard. Uhuru Kenyatta said the recent resurgence of hostilities in Eastern Congo highlights the urgent need for renewed political will, regional cooperation, and sustained support for peace. Pale juu, okay, hapo chini, tubakie hapo. Why finding Odhiambo is a tall order. And this is the guy that went missing 17 days ago, allegedly in the hands of the KWS, where KWS say they caught someone indeed, but alitoroka. Sasa jana court ilisema there is no evidence, hakuna evidence ya kutosha
ya kusema ni KWS.
Sasa the family is still in agony. The court has disappointed them. Trump continues with his shocking outburst. That story is on page 11 of this newspaper. And pale juu mention of Barchok and the soup of missing county funds is the first Kenya Kwanza governor to be arrested over fraud claims. Kenya eyes new IMF program. Somalia fast host woman turns head. And fresh tears as Arsenal crash out of Carabao. That's the Standard.
All right. Now we're done with the papers. Let's take a look at the cartoons today. We'll start off with a cartoon on the Star. And it has some people on a running truck. One who's already set for the race, and he says, it's my way or the highway this time. That's, it looks like the Wiper leader, a caricature of the Wiper party leader, Kalonzo Musyoka. Meanwhile, we are seeing someone else already on the roof of his vehicle. Lakini aliambia watu wasianze campaign. Lakini ashaanza. The rest of the guys look perplexed here. And these are just some of the potential presidential candidates come 2027. We have even Morara Kebaso. He has made it. Kama umechoro kwa cartoon, you've made it. Morara Kebaso, congratulations. Okia Omtata there, CS Matiang'i there, Raila Odinga, Martha Karua, and Rigiji. So these are just some of, this is how the field looks like now. Lakini mmoja anasema, me, I'm ready to take off. That's a cartoon on the Star. Daily Nation.
Daily Nation. If we vaccinate them, tunaona pale caricature of President William Ruto ameshikia pale buckets taxes. Hapa chini anasema we could tax them more.
So your story ndio ya vaccination ya ng'ombe, lakini hapa anasema there's still room to tax Kenyans.
Yeah.
A bit more. Remember the budget making process inaendelea, and the budget policy statement will be tabled before parliament next week. Hapo ndio watu wataona ukweli.
Na ng'ombe kwa emaciated.
Lakini sasa wanasema wakivaccinate itanaona kidogo ndio waweze ku.
Yeah.
On the People Daily, yes.
She needs your help. Tunaona mama pale ameshikwa pale na corrupt individuals. That is this caricaturist amesema. And pale mbele tunaona they're presenting aid. Tusaidie jamani, tunaomba.
Mbehu for Trump.
Yeah.
So it looks like, yes, this lady, her hands are tied at the back. So she's not even the one begging. It's this corrupt individuals who are using her to beg for aid. So the same debate. People are saying, yes, even the USAID, pesa ndio ukuja, lakini inapotea. It does not get to benefit the real people. So there's really no pain among very many Kenyans about the loss of the USAID. That's a People Daily. And finally, on the Standard, something similar, the tap has run dry from the US. Wamefunga hiyo tap, hakuna kitu. hapo anajiuliza kutaendaje. That's a cartoon on the Star. This is part of the biggest discussions we're having today. What happens to Kenya and other African countries with the freezing of aid from America? So yes, after the break of the youth perspective, we'll be looking at these headlines. What do young Kenyans think